Shuki here with a review of the Ultraman Orb, Ultra Monster DX, Maga Jappa, and Maga Pandon. So these are the third and fourth releases in the Ultra Monster DX line for Ultraman Orb, and the third and fourth King Demon Beasts from the series' third and fourth episodes, respectively. So we're tackling these bigger Ultra Monster DX releases right out of the gate. These are big creatures in the series, and as such, require a lot bigger of a vinyl figure than the little tiny ones that we're normally getting. So these are all DX releases. They cost a little bit more, anywhere from like $1,500 to $1,800, all the way up to maybe $2,200 to $2,800, depending on how big you're looking at with these things. I'll have exact prices on the screen for these guys. But each of these do come with an Ultra Fusion card, which is mostly why I got them. But they are pretty neat vinyl figures as well. So let's go ahead and pop these tags off. Alright, so here are the Ultra Fusion cards included. As always, there's Ultra Monster on the top. Maga Jappa is the King Demon Beast of Water, so naturally he is Mizu type. Water type on the card, so we get the nice blue LED for that. And the King Demon Beast of Fire is Maga Pandon, and so he is the Heat type, or the Fire type. So you got their cards right there. It's cool to see some more colors for these Ultra Monsters. And here they are on the back. Nothing too grand there. They're T008 and T009, respectively, for these two. So we'll take a look at that in the Orb Ring toward the end of the video. For now, let's go ahead and set Pandon aside and look at Maga Jappa. And Jappa. I'm just probably going to end up saying Japper. But anyhow, so he's this weird sort of seahorse-esque thing going on, and he sits there and basically farts in the water and makes it stink, and it was a bad day for everybody. But here he is. He's got the biggest derp face. I kind of love it. The great thing about these Ultra Monster DX finals is there's a ton of detail in these. Like, you can see all of the ribbed sort of scales and everything going on throughout this figure. But unfortunately, it just doesn't have a whole lot of paint to make those details pop. So different color washes would totally work well with these sort of figures. You can kind of see the octopus sort of suction cups all the way throughout the tail here. So like I said, lots and lots of molded in detail, and unfortunately just aren't really seen well because of how cheap they are. They don't have a whole lot of paint. But regardless, the upper head portion is nicely done. You got nice little gradients of the gold and silver sort of mixed to make a copper. Going on throughout here, the copperish look to the seahorse head. Has a big old eyeball. You got a very, very faint copper to red gradient throughout there, and the front of the figure as well has really nice paint. So they do a really good job with like paint gradients on these figures. For sure. So while they don't have a whole lot of paint deal to them, the ones that they do have included on the figure generally look really nice. He's not my favorite by any means. He's a pretty decent figure. Articulation wise, you have him in the little thighs and hips right there, and then little swivels at the bicep elbow-ish area. It's all kind of a blur on this guy. So no head articulation, no tail articulation or anything like that, but it's still a nice little representation of this guy. So if you liked his little motif going on in the show, feel free to go ahead and pick this guy up. There we go. So moving along to Maga Pandon. Pandon is actually a character that's been in the Ultra series for a very long time. I think since Ultra 7, which was like the second series. It was a really long time ago. So he keeps getting rehashed and remade in all sorts of different ways. And this is his newest one with Maga Pandon. And Pandon is this creature with like a beak and I almost said two bird heads to be precise, that all kind of lumped together in this weird jewel sort of thing going on. It's weird. Pandon is a weird creature, to say the very least. But yeah, so he's spiky. He's definitely whatever you want to call this. I will let you be the judge of what this all ends up looking like. But paint detail wise on this guy is not too fantastic. Like Maga Grand King's tail being painted and then just suddenly stopping. This guy's painted down here in his like thigh, hip, and crotch region, and you get above the waist and it just all stops at the stomach here. Like, it ends abruptly. It's not like a full clean gradient up to the red. It just stops. It's like, oh, nope, we're done painting. But he does have a little bit on the arm gauntlets, forearms right here. Got these little claw, lobster claw-esque things going on there. Now, because of the way he's designed, he doesn't really have any sort of thigh articulation, but he does have a waist swivel and a shoulder swivel and a tail swivel. So he's our first one with an actual tail swivel. So that's always nice. You get a little bit of extra posability with the tail. Not that it's all that thrilling. Not my favorite by any means. I've never really liked Pandon since I found out about him. I'm still not a fan of Pandon. But he is certainly what he is. Alright, so here's our orb ring. Let's go ahead and scan Maga Jappa.
Maga Jappa.
And Maga Pandon.
Maga Pandon. Maga Jappa. Maga Pandon.
So just like with Bosser and Grand King, you get a little bit extra sounds on this than you were the normal Ultra Monsters. So now we got all 4 of the King Demon Beasts all together, and we have their respective Ultra Fusion cards as well. And this is one of the biggest selling points for me about the Ultra Monster vinyls, is that they're the only way to really get these Ultra Monster Ultra Fusion cards. Otherwise, you don't have them in your collection, and that's just unfortunate because I want to collect all the ones that say T on it, because that means I bought a lot of toys, and that makes me happy. But at the very least, if you're not a huge fan of these guys, or you just don't really care about collecting all of the Ultra Fusion cards, particularly the monsters, which really don't do a whole lot in the orb ring itself, then these are pretty easy skips. For vinyl figures, they can get a little bit pricey. Thankfully, most places end up marking these down a bit, so they're a little bit more affordable than if you're just buying them outright at the normal prices. But they're still kind of neat in some regard. Like I said, Maga Grand King I really enjoy. Out of these 2, I like Maga Jappa more, but he's still not all that great. I prefer the first 2 Ultra Monster DX releases a little bit more than I do these 2 guys. But still, at the very least, they are what they are, and if you enjoy them, buy them. That's all there is to it. So that about does it for this review. If you like it, go ahead and blast that like button, comment below, and subscribe for more. So as always, thanks for watching, take care, and have a great one. Bye.